I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real? Or not?
Hey, true believers, what's going on? First of all, I'm not going to make any apologies for that intro. I don't really know what it was or why I did it. I did it quite a while ago without really having any clear purpose for it. Just thought I'd stick it in here, because what happened here is I'm not doing this isn't real. I'm not doing a normal episode. What I was going to originally do was do an episode on the ongoing comic, The Unwritten, and I'm still going to talk about that a little, because what happened was, in thinking about it, it really got me thinking about why I do this, and why I'm here with you, and why you're here with me, and just what all that means. And a lot of it comes out of themes that are in the Unwritten, and mostly what it is the Unwritten, without getting too much into it, really talks about and deals with the power of stories, and just what stories, the impact they have on our lives. And to me, this just is almost everything. And this is the type of person I am, and that's why I'm here, and I don't know, and that's why you're here too, because there's some sort of connection that you and I share, because stories mean so much to us. You know, we can separate them from reality, but they can become our reality in lots of ways too. And I'm not talking about living in fantasy worlds and not understanding the real world. I'm simply talking about how you can get involved in this world that, you know, is completely created, and how you can care so much about it, and the characters and the things and the events and everything that's going on in it, and how much it means to you really, and how you can become a part of it, and you know, in your day-to-day life, and just how significant that can be for you. And when it comes to the worlds, I've been to so many of them. You know, I've quested for the Dark Tower. I've been to the Forgotten Realms, following my hero Dritz Dord, and I've been in other parts too. You know, what else? I've been to Oz, of course, and Narnia. Where's Narnia? Here's some Narnia. And you know, these are places my whole life that, you know, I've been in, and I've gone back to again and again to find other places. I'm still in Aberrat, you know, with Clive Barker and the characters he's made there. Of course, since you know me, or you know me a little bit, I'm very at home in the Marvel Universe, and the things that happen there, they impact me, and I care about them. You know, regardless of whether they happened when I was a kid or before then, or, you know, if I'm only just coming to them now, things like the Mutant Massacre, the Civil War, the death of Gwen Stacy, these were events, these were things that happened in my life, to me. There was an Infinite Crisis in the DC Universe. The DC Universe is another world I go to. Sometimes, you know, the world seems normal. It's a less fantastic world, but then fantastic things happen. Michael Crichton did this for me. Here we are traveling through time in maybe a more realistic fashion. I've been to real-life places that I've never actually been to, romanticized. I was on the murder. I was on the Orient Express when there was a murder there, and Poirot had to save the day once more. You know, and I can just think of so many things and places I've been, and characters I've seen and cared about, and then seeing new spins on them, and just the way I'd read them, and then just when I finally finished it for the first time, just the feeling I would have. You know, sitting back after the first time I read through The Dark Knight Returns, and this new interpretation of Batman, or a Batman in a future that we hope we'd never see, what his mission had done to him, and what had become, and where the world had gone. I remember just being almost in awe of that. In the same thing, this dystopian 1985 that Alan Moore created in Watchmen. You know, I wish I could have experienced it back when it first happened, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're reading this for the first time or for the 20th or the 100th. And that's why you're here, and that's why I'm here. And I just wanted to talk about that sort of thing. The Unwritten, like I said, it's written by Mike Carey, and I hadn't really known an awful lot about him. I knew that he did spin-off of Sandman, Neil Gaiman's Sandman, with the character Lucifer. And I knew that was fairly popular, but I didn't know a lot about him. But I mean, I've just gotten so wrapped up in what's going on in the Unwritten, where sort of the lines are very much blurred between what's you know, what's fiction and what's reality, and that's sort of the whole point. And it makes for a good allegory in that way, and led me to this sort of passionate rant. And I didn't have any notes or clear thing of what I was going to say. Oh, here's another place where I've been, and we'll go back again in the Middle Earth, there with Bilbo. And it won't be too long before, you know, once again, I'm reading about the rings and all that stuff, and there's just so many new worlds to explore and characters, and then old ones to go back to. And it doesn't even have to be fantastical things, as much as kids or people, whatever, but we'll say kids, reading Harry Potter, and there's so much feeling like they're a student at Hogwarts. When I was growing up, I felt like I was a student at MacDonald Hall. My friends were Bruno and Boots. That's Gordon Corman, by the way, great Canadian author. Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't have any clear plan for how this was going to go. It's not an episode, but again, I just wanted to, I don't know, talk to you and connect with you again on this sort of stuff. That's why I'm here, that's why you're here, and this is where we're going. And I don't know what else to say. Maybe that'll be all there is, but I mean, I'm just so glad you're here with me, and there's just so much more on this bookcase and the other bookcase that you can't see, and just everywhere else. And bookcases, I'd love to see your bookcase. I'd love to know what's there, and that sort of thing. I get lost in bookstores and comic stores, just looking at all these all these stories waiting to be told that I could be a part of, and that just means so much to me, and that's why I'm trying to be a writer and that sort of thing. So I can make my own stories and my own characters, my own worlds, not because that's more important than the other ones, but just that's just the type of person I am, and the type of way I want to express myself, and to someday imagine that people would want to come visit my worlds, and that they care about the things that my characters are doing and that sort of thing. That just means everything to me. And that's the difference between people like us and other people who, they read books and they like books, and they watch movies and they like that. But that's as far as it goes. Once they've stopped reading, they're not really thinking about it anymore. And once they've stopped watching the movie or the play or whatever, they put it down. They're on to the next thing, and that's all well and good for them, and that's fine. The world can't just run on dreamers like us. We need people actually out there doing, other things that I'm less interested in, but are nonetheless just as important. We need people to be doctors and build bridges and go to space and all those things. And all those things are stories too, and that's what it is. Everything in life is one story or another. And when we die, it doesn't necessarily have to end there either, as far as our stories go. That's the ultimate thing we always hope, is that when people die, or when we die, that we'll be remembered one way or another, and fondly, and that sort of thing. And that's another great thing about books and that sort of thing. So many of these authors are gone now, but they're not really gone, because their stories are still here, and we're still reading them, and we're still talking about them, and we're still finding out new things. You can read Great Expectations again, and you can get into a debate about whether or not it really is a really great, important piece of literature, or perhaps that it's just sort of an overblown piece of junk, really full of too many coincidences, that is taking the attention away from Dickens' more important works, and so you go back and check that out, and so many other things too. The same thing. That was just one example, and that's just the great thing. And someday I don't aspire to be an amazing author or anything like that, or to be remembered for centuries, but an author is what I want to be, a writer, and to tell my stories, and to share my stories. And even this channel that I'm doing here and with me, it's sort of a story that we're writing together, and there's not a lot going on. I don't have 1,000 subscribers or anything like that, but again, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I guess that's all I wanted to say, and I hope you guys are doing great. Take this opportunity again to say thanks a lot for being here with me. That's what it's all about, talking about stories and sharing our views and our experiences and our opinions. And so just looking forward to get back to that. If you still want me to talk about the Unwritten, I will, because I think it's really great. So I'll see you guys all next time. Take care, and I guess that's going to do it. So remember, you may think that God is great, but Nick Fury's God has a hammer. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.